She said, did you guys wait until marriage? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. If you're new, welcome to Legit Tim. Today I'm joined by the love of my life, beautiful Bethany.
Hi guys.
And today we're gonna be making a video together. You're gonna have to excuse us because I'm kind of like the more outspoken one, I would say, in our relationship.
Yeah, I would agree.
And she's kind of on the more quieter things. So she's down to be in videos when I ask her to, but she's not like, let's shoot a video. So today I decided, let's go ahead and shoot a video. I really just realized I'm missing my wedding ring because
you went to the gym.
No, we shot another video and I had to take out my wedding ring for it. But it's right here actually. Oh. Anyways, let's get back into it. So today, guys, what we're gonna be doing is we are going to be doing a Q&A with me and the love of my life. So a lot of you guys know who I am, a lot of you guys know where I live, but I feel like a lot of y'all guys don't really know us. And I feel like with videos like this, we can kind of open up to you guys and kind of, I guess, explain to you guys about our relationship and where we came from and where we started from. So I just wanna kind of let the Legit Nation into that. So today, this video is dedicated to you. I've asked some of you guys to write me questions on Instagram, so we're gonna be answering some of those questions today, beginning with this one.
So the first question is from the Legit Clay, and it says, how did y'all meet?
How did we meet? I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the first one because I know for the majority of the video I'm gonna be talking, so go ahead.
I would say the first time I ever saw Tim, we met at church, but I knew of Tim before he even knew I existed. About, I would say, 3 years. We went to church and we didn't talk to each other. And then finally he came up to me and he was like, oh, I heard you were having a sleepover for your cheerleaders. Can I come? And I was all, really?
Okay, so to like fix her story, because it's kind of confusing, sorry babe. Her best friend is probably about this short. So I always thought that this girl was like a little girl and she was always with her best friend, which I thought they were like really younger than I was. I didn't realize that she was only a year younger than us because her best friend was so short. So I thought they were like little girls. So I wasn't about to go up to a little girl and start talking to her, but she had a sister named Judy and I was friends with her sister Judy. She was a younger sister. So basically Judy was in the same like ministry that we were in, and we were both in this like acting ministry. So I knew of Judy, and one day Judy came up and said, hey Tim, we're having a sleepover with the cheerleaders at my house, blah blah blah, you should come, this and that, just messing around. So I went up to her and I said, hey, I heard you're having a sleepover with cheerleaders, can I get your number so I can go to the sleepover? And that's basically how we met. But then tell them about like how we actually started like talking, I guess.
I would say that I did give him my number that time, and then one of our closest friends that he's really close to and I became close to was our friend Fella, and she was having her party and I asked him if he was going and he ended up said he was going to go. And that whole night my cousins and they were like, you should talk to Beth, you should talk to Beth.
Right.
And then I actually introduced myself to his mom a couple of times before that, and I told her like, you have a really great son, he has a good head on his shoulders, and I said, you're doing an amazing job with him. And then his mom's friend was like, oh, why don't you try talking to that girl named Beth?
And so I said, you're crazy, I'm not talking to Beth, I don't like Beth. And so we started texting more and more, and she started to grow on me, and I started to have feelings for this girl. And she was in high school, I was homeschooled, I started early college, so it was completely two different worlds.
No, I was in college too.
No, you weren't, not when we first started talking. She was just in high school when we first started talking. I was going to early college, and then she started going to early college and high school, but that's besides the point. So anyways, we ended up starting to talk. We ended up being boyfriend and girlfriend. It was, honestly, our relationship was pretty tough, I would say, for the most part. Which goes on to the next question, which is by dholt1 on Instagram. I told you guys to ask me questions on Instagram, so if you're not already following me, hit that follow button at the Legit Tim. He says, how do you keep your relationship healthy? For us, when we were dating, it was really hard because Beth comes from a really Mexican family. My family's a little bit different because we're like Tex-Mex, we're more like Texans, so we predominantly speak English, but most of Beth's family's like from Mexico, so a lot of like it has to do with like the culture and like how strict they are on their kids and stuff. So me and Beth really never had an opportunity to actually like date. But we would always talk on the phone. We'd be on the phone every night. We really couldn't go out or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. It was kind of hard, and at moments Tim really got frustrated with it because my parents wouldn't let me go out, and so he wanted to go to the movies with me. He wanted to go here. We wanted to go
because
out of
the
town.
way I was raised, I was free to do pretty much whatever I wanted to do as long as I kept my parents in the loop. Because of course my parents trusted me. They knew I was a good kid, and it was just, you know, it was easy for me to do things in life. But with her, it was a completely different story.
I mean, we had a couple of rough moments, and then finally, whenever Tim got his own place, we started getting older. I was maybe about 17 then. Senior year, I was just like, okay, like I'm not a little kid. Like I could be going to college, like out of state. Like y'all need to like learn to let go. And so
they still wouldn't though. That's the thing, is that her family still wouldn't let go. And see, it wasn't just her parents that I was dealing with. It was her aunt, her uncle, her grandparents, her cousins. And it was like, that's how the Mexican culture is with her family, you know, and not just her family, but with other people too. See, I wasn't used to that. I wasn't raised like that. So it was difficult for me to come around to that. So I finally came up with the thing, and I was like, you know what, let's just rebel. So actually our first date was sneaking off. And so her parents had left. Her mom knew about it a little bit. Her dad did not know about it at all. And so at that time I had this really, really old clunky car, my first car, and the transmission was so messed up. So what we did is we went out, I don't think we went to the movies.
I told my parents that I was sick. So I kept my mom kind of in the loop, and I was like, okay mom, like I want this to keep going. Like I want to be his girlfriend. Like we were girlfriend, boyfriend, and then, so I was like, you need to let me do this. So she let me do it, but she's like, we told my dad that I was staying home, I was sick. And so as soon as they left, Tim pulled up, and then we just left. I just left with Tim, and my mom was like, just be home before we come back. Just be home before we come back. And what happened?
So we ended up going to the arcade. We ended up going to the grocery store. We got like some ice cream and stuff. And then we just started like making out in the car. And she didn't want to, like, I said, Beth, I need to get you home. Because see, I've never really rebelled before. I've always been the good kid that will like follow instructions, that will obey the parents. And that's why like everybody's parents for the most part has always really liked me. But with her parents, it was just completely different because they were like Mexican. So whatever I did, I could not come around to those parents. So I finally was like, you know what, let's just rebel. But even while rebelling, I was kind of like, we gotta get you home. And she didn't want to come home. So finally, when we get home, I'm still mad about this to this day. When we get home, my transmission's messed up. She gets off the car. She doesn't want to get off the car. She wants to keep telling me bye. She finally gets off the car, and then her parents pull up right next to mine. The transmission is broken. So I tried pressing drive on the car, and I was like, brr, brr, and it didn't want to go. It was just like tugging, and it was like, brr, brr, brr. And her dad was literally looking at me in the eye. Finally, I stepped on that gas so hard, I went boom, and then the car went boom, and then it finally left. But I was so frustrated that night because I was like, Beth, I literally told you, we gotta be home. And Beth is the type that she's super like clingy, so she did not want to leave me at all. She didn't want to leave. So next question, how do you keep your relationship so strong and healthy? By simplysierra.xo. I think the number one reason why our relationship is so strong and healthy to this day, you know, because it's hard for us with family, with friends, with, you know, doing YouTube and stuff. It's really difficult to keep a relationship. You guys don't see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but I think the number one thing is God, you know, of course. God is the reason why we're here. God is the reason, you know, why we are here where we are today. And Jesus, you know, is the reason, you know. I wouldn't give any other glory or credit to myself, to her, to, you know, anybody but Jesus, because, you know, my thing is I always want to follow along with what the word says when it comes to building a relationship. And so that's what I did with Beth. And so, you know, I tried my best, you know, and that doesn't always mean that I will succeed or that I'm a perfect person, but I tried my best to follow along the word of God. And even now that we're married, you know, of course we're gonna fall, of course we're going to sin, but I think the part of it is have your roots in Christ. And I thank my parents so much, because every time we get in a fight or every time we get in an argument, my parents are there to disciple us and to be on the phone with Beth till 6 in the morning, and then my mom has to call them to work. Like, they do that stuff for us, which is why me and my Beth love my parents so much, because they are there for us through thick and thin.
I would just say, like, when you're looking for that person, the biggest thing, and I know it's really cliche to say this, is communication. Like, to know where they're at, or to just to be like aware of the other person. Like it's not just you in the relationship, there's someone else. Like you're supposed to be one, especially when you do eventually end up getting married. You are not two people anymore, you're one person. Whatever you do, you're doing it together. It's not all about you anymore. And so you have to let that person know where you're at, or you're gonna be getting into fights or getting into like arguments over small stuff. And I'm not gonna say we don't get into fights, because we do, and we just learn how to, like, we pray about it and then we're okay the next day. And another thing that you do have to learn is girls are really jealous, and guys need to learn with that, and guys also have their own problems. So there's different stuff you come with, there's different baggage that you come with, and so just being together like this, you have to like learn with each other. Every relationship's different.
Definitely. And from Blazing Boy 01 goes to our next question. How many years ago did y'all get married? We've almost been married for a year now. Now, nobody asked this question, but I'm gonna go ahead and explain it to you guys because you are my legit nation. Why did we get married so young? let me go ahead and go back to another question. So the last question that I'm gonna answer, the very last question, and at first I was like, you know what, I'm not answering this question. There's no way that I'm gonna be answering this question. But it's from Melissa Barbagallo, and her last DM to me was, can you share your testimony/story, which I know she's a Christian by that comment, so I know she's not just a hater or just like a young boy that's wondering. But she said, did you guys wait until marriage? And I think that is like one of the biggest questions that I want to answer on this channel, and that's something that, you know, before I'm trying to open up to you guys more, and I'm trying to be more genuine and more myself with you guys. And before, I definitely would not ever want to answer that question on the internet. I wouldn't want to post it on the internet. But I think that, you know, it can help out people who are in the same situation that we are. So unfortunately, you know, like I said, nobody is perfect and everybody falls. And so, yeah, I did fall. We did fall because, you know, she was struggling with things in her life and I was struggling with things in my life. And it was just a really big emotional mess. And I didn't want to leave this girl. So we ended up having sex before marriage, and we ended up, you know, committing that sin. And, you know, we asked for forgiveness and everything. But my dad, you know, had to talk with us and said, from this day you made a covenant, you know, you are to marry this girl. And I don't think that the reason why we got married so young has to do with that. I think it more so has to do with the fact that her family was just so strict with us and didn't allow us to be together, didn't allow me to go over, and we couldn't see each other the way we wanted to. And we were so in love with each other that we were like, you know what, we eventually went up to our parents and we said, you know, or not my parents but her parents, and we said, you know what, either you're gonna accept us or you're not gonna have us in your life at all, because we're gonna go get married. So we drove to the courthouse, we signed the paper, and my dad was an ordained pastor. So eventually her parents decided to agree with it, and my dad went ahead and married us. And this was something that I wasn't gonna share with you guys. This is something I wasn't gonna share online at all, but I just feel like it's best to let you guys know what we've been through, and to let you guys know that no, not everyone's perfect. And I know a lot of my viewers are younger, but there might be somebody our age that is going through the same thing right now. So if you are thinking about, you know, having sex before marriage, I would say wait, because sex opens the door to so many things in life, and it's definitely not worth it unless you're with the person that you were going to be with for the rest of your life. So although it may seem fun, although it may seem like you need it, it's not something, it's not the can that you want to open up to. It can be the best thing in the world, it can be a blessing, but at the same time it can be, you know, the biggest struggle to get over with. So well,
and not only that, it's just the fact that yes, we did, but we got married, and it wasn't for that reason. But if we didn't get married, the way down the line, when we did end up finding other people, we would have to live with that and then have to tell them that like, oh, we had sex before marriage, and so it's not as meaningful.
Yeah,
and so that's another thing. And for those of y'all who don't know, I was still in high school, I was still in college. Like during that time, me and Tim grew so close together because I did lose the sister that he was close to, which was Judy. And so during that time, we were like, I was vulnerable, and I was in just a state of mind where at that point it was just like, this is my life. Like, I can be gone. Anyone can be gone. Like, we have to just, if I love him and he loves me, like, we prayed about this before before anything happened. And so we knew that we were going to be with each other for the rest of our lives. He was there for me when I needed him. I was there for him. Like, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, we're doing it. And it was a lot more things behind the picture.
And I think that the saddest part of it all, you know, is the fact that not only did her family not accept me, not only did her family push me away, but after we got married, all of them were accusing me of getting her pregnant, which was not the case at all. Because here in our society where we grew up, the only time that somebody gets married when they're young is if they're pregnant. And so everybody was just throwing more rocks at us, throwing more, you know, bad stuff our way, saying, oh, you know, you got her pregnant, this and that. And, you know, people were talking, and it was just a really bad situation. But I think through God and through the help of my parents, we eventually pushed through, and now we are happier than we can ever be. And it all goes back to God, guys. But anyways, I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Is there anything you need to say?
No, I would just say, like, I know y'all are always positive about us in the comments, and I know y'all like to see me in the vlogs, and so that means a lot that y'all really support our marriage and what we stand for. And so we really haven't had that support since the beginning when we started our relationship, so this means a lot to us. And so for us to open up and tell you about our story, like, that's a lot coming from us, because this is getting more and more personal with y'all. And I know YouTubers typically like to hide their personal lives, but we're out here telling you everything from the truth and what we have gone through.
And I think one of the best reasons to tell the truth is because we're not like other people. And that's one thing that you guys got to understand on this channel. We are not like other YouTubers. You know, we believe in a God. We believe in our God. We believe in Christ. And so I feel like the best way to connect with you guys is not to stay closed up and act like people that we're not, but to open up. And I know this video was kind of different, but this is the legit Tim channel where, you know, it can be anything from social experiments to gaming to sit down videos to Q&A. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to all my supporters. You guys mean the world to me. And we're only going up, guys. So thank you so much for joining this video. Make sure you leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And thank you for supporting our marriage since day one, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.